Ah! Oh, did I check my microphone? I did. Good. But here's the other question. Is this audio working? Yeah, it is. No problems. For the first time in Vandayaha history, I have no problems with what's plugged in and working. Oh, but I wanted to add live stream fan. No, not her. Live stream fan. Live. Live on Twitch. If I click this, what happens? I see. Beautiful. Now we go back to... Oh, I put that in the wrong channel. Shit. Stream chat. Okay. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to go here. All right. So, for those of you who might catch this video on YouTube or are coming into the stream for the first time, this is Vandayaha Games. It's a channel dedicated to the betterment of narrative structure in video games as an art form. We're going to do a quiet stream. I say that a lot. Well, I actually don't say that a lot, but I've thought that a lot. Where I'm like, oh, today I'm going to do like a relaxed, quiet stream, and then it's not true. I don't. I end up talking more than I plan. But given the holiday nature, it's very possible that nobody shows. So if nobody shows, then I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. Maybe I'll play Magic if nobody else shows up. If people show up, then I have a plan, and it relates directly to the WJG Narrative Game Jam, number 3. If you followed recently, I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't get notifications when I get followed. Sometimes I do. I don't know why. It might have been something to do with I deleted something that I wasn't supposed to in my OBS. So if you followed, thank you. I might have screwed something up. I apologize for that. But anyway, so if people do show up, I'm going to be playing a game that I think relates pretty well to the next narrative game jam. Now, what is a narrative game jam, you ask? Even though you didn't. A narrative game jam is a game jam which is focused on narrative, telling a better story with your game. Now, why would you come here to learn about that? Well, my name is Dylan Davis, also known as Cathartigan. I'm the one who founded Vandayaha. I received my MFA in creative writing from Southern Illinois University. And for those of you who don't know what an MFA is, it's basically the highest level of degree that you could possibly attain in the form of creative writing, right? I got this degree partially because it's in the United States. It's a marker for somebody who can go on to teach creative writing, right? So I can technically, it's unlikely that I get hired for a couple of reasons. One, I'm living in Germany, and two, because I don't have a published book through through a reputable publisher. But that's because it's kind of by design. I didn't want to. I'm trying to go a different route. So, but I technically can teach at the collegiate level creative writing, right? I am what some consider a master. I am not by any means, but I do know a lot about it. And what I wanted to do with this is found a way, because annoying rich kids who go to MFAs, they don't need my help to get better at writing. They already have everything they could ever need. You go into Iowa, you don't need my help with writing at all. You got agents lining up outside your creative writing workshop. But who I can help are people who don't get access to a lot of creative writing education. And those people are the storytellers of the future, which I've come to believe are the video game developers and designers. And so that's what this is. And I host game jams. I went semi-infrequently toward the end of the year because I wanted to do some other things. But the idea would be that we would do a game jam every month. You come here, you sign up for the game jam, and then you can click join jam. It's free because you don't get paid. No prizes because I can't afford them. But what I can give you is my time. I can give you my time and my expertise, and I can tell you how to make your story better, right? So they always have a theme. And they always have a restriction. And the restrictions are the development restrictions. And also I'm starting to toy around with the idea of narrative restriction, right? So in this one, I wanted the narrative restriction to be anagnoresis. That's an ancient writing term used all the way back in the Greek times. And so that's something that's something that the developers who are going to join the jam will have to do. And the gameplay restriction is no text. So that means that they have to tell the story without text. Oh my gosh. How can you tell a story without text? Well, I'm going to show you a little something today of a game which I believe has a really interesting story and uses no text, or very, very little text. And so, yeah, if hopefully a couple more people show up and then that will actually be like a relatively beneficial conversation. But that is the jam, and it starts that's this current jam. And I think we'll probably start the next one up in like early February because this one's starting so late. So that means we have, 2 weeks we have 12 days. Excuse me. We have 12 days to do the jam to make the games. And then I probably will need 2 weeks to play the games on stream because right now we only have 8 people who've joined. And I always make a point to play at least, 10 to 12 of the games that are submitted to any given jam. And so, roughly if I'm giving them 10 minutes a piece, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, it'll be the case that I'll probably need 2 weeks to play them. It could be longer than 10 minutes. I've played some games for like a half an hour, but hopefully if we get all 8 people to submit and then maybe a couple more people join, a couple more people maybe want to make a Twine game, Twine's free. It's easy. You can figure out how to make a story with only pictures in Twine. Hell, you can make a story in PowerPoint as long as there's some interactivity to it, right? Like you could turn PowerPoint into a game itself where it's like you have to download 3 PowerPoint presentations and you have to open, one of them, and then it tells you that you have to search on page 65 of another one, and then you have to go to page 65 of the third PowerPoint. That's all gameplay, right? That's a form of gameplay. It might not be the most riveting gameplay in the world, but it's a form of gameplay. It's a form of interesting decision making. And so that's what I would suggest. If you have any interest in participating in a game jam, if you have any interest in somebody critiquing, somebody who's qualified to critique narrative fiction, if you're interested in that, I can do that, right? Minecraft Dialgarux, I think I remember. I know who this is. Okay. Me, who's planning on making an image and sound-based game in RPG Maker. Peasants. Yeah, I mean, you can. You can do it. It's totally possible. It's totally, totally possible. Although I am interested in the idea of, because I said no text. I didn't say no audio text. But I still think I don't want audio text. I don't want I don't want you to, I don't think anybody would do this anyway because it would be a huge pain in the ass. But I don't want you to just write the script and then read the script and then just have it play in audio cues instead of text boxes. It might be better though, honestly. I think I would much rather listen to that. That's cheating. Okay. It does seem like cheating, but it would be a funny workaround because I said no text. I didn't say no red text. Well, I guess text kind of encompasses red text. Anyway, the point is the jam starts in 2 days. It'll run for 12. So you have effectively 6 days to plan and implement the first iteration, and then you have another 6 days to refine the iteration, right? And then you submit. The following week, we come back together, we play the games, etc., etc. So yeah, 2 days, 5 hours, 15 minutes, and 55 seconds. Otherwise known as the day after the 25th of December. I'm terrified because I don't even have the game fully done and I got to redraw all the RPG Maker assets in my own style. That's a lot of work. You might want to reevaluate your art direction. I would go hella simplified. I found art making to be among the most time-consuming things in the game jams. Anytime I participated in a game jam and I was helping 2Lanks or whoever, I mean, I think I was always working with 2Lanks, but the amount of times I'd have to draw and redraw sprites, and my sprites are not good. I mean, my sprites are, ugh. I think I have one actually. Yeah, here's one. I mean, it's this one's, I'm getting better, but this is this is supposed to be like a crystal, right? And I think I did okay, but still and this isn't even animated. This doesn't have the 4 degrees of animation. Yeah, if I can't get the game done by the time the jam opens, I'm just going to leave it as is. Art clash be damned. Yeah, it's fine. I wouldn't worry about it. The point is not necessarily the art. The point is more the construction of the narrative, right? You should focus much more on nailing the anagnorisis and nailing the idea of telling a story without text. That'll be... I mean, that's already hard enough, that's harder than I think even my professor in my master's degree had us do, So I wouldn't worry too much about it. These are first drafts, right? That's what these are. That's the way that I've come to look at the game jams, is that they're first drafts of things. It's here's a test. Let's see what you can do with this test in one go, right? Yeah, I get you. I got my idea fully fledged at this point. I just hope that I can convey the actual anagnorisis of that text. How do you have the idea fully fledged if you haven't seen the theme yet? Did I announce the theme? I can't remember if I announced the theme. Or you're just foregoing the optional theme altogether? But yeah, so that's what I would say to those of you who could potentially be interested in joining the jam. That is the current options. Because I can see the Pole Junkie and House Under the Stairs as the high strength. Shit. I thought I was so clever. When does that poll close, by the way? I forgot about that. Did it already close? I completely spaced that. Let me tell you, the end of the year, I don't give a shit about Christmas. To be fair, yeah, it's a really cool idea. The House Under the Stairs, I really love that image. But what was I going to say? toward the end of the year, I don't give a shit about Christmas. I've never really been a big fan. I'm not much of a God guy. I think it's interesting. I don't understand why we celebrate the birth of the savior of the universe by buying PlayStation 5s, but I just don't really care. But even me, who doesn't give a shit, for some reason, I don't. It's just like ingrained into my psyche at this point, like being 29 now, that the second, like it's the 20th of December, everything's done. Like everything turns off until January 2nd. There's a lot you can do with House Under the Stairs. It's all up to different interpretation. Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah, I think I want to try and do that a little bit more going forward with the themes, is like come up with just kind of interesting images, right? Like because I had done a couple of themes in the past that I was like, yeah, I mean, they're pretty cool, but I like the ones that really, they kind of grab your attention as like, what? Like what was the one with the candles? I don't know. They're just kind of poetic, and I like that about them, and I want to do those more. But anyway, so that's enough about the jam. We did 16 minutes on the jam. And it's not looking like too many more people are going to show up today. All these people skipping class. I don't skip class. I come here every week. I never miss class. All these people putting Christmas over their class. I'm just kidding. I understand. Like I mean, like I just said, it's once the 20th rolls around, the entire world just kind of goes and stops until January 2nd or 3rd. And then it's like, and it keeps going. So far, it shows me that there's only one view, which I'm pretty sure is me. I'm pretty sure it is you. I think maybe the other people that are currently in the chat, they might be bots. I can never tell. They come up with great names. Putting Christmas over their class. Hey, listen, I'm on Christmas break. It's not my fault. I have to fight my teacher who's currently still 4 weeks late on grading my papers. Welcome to college. This will be the next 4 years of your future. Or 5. Or however many years you plan to stay in school. It's just how it is. I taught university. We don't get paid a whole lot. And trust me, grading papers at 8 p.m. is the last thing I want to do. It is the literal last thing I want to do. But I get it. The 4 weeks late. 4 weeks late is pretty crazy. Luckily, I've only got one more semester and I'm graduating. Fair enough. All right. So. I'm trying to decide. Would I rather play Magic or Factorio? Factorio is good because we're playing Factorio. We're playing Factorio. It's better. I can still make a video out of this even if people don't come. Factorio. A narrative game with no text. I almost said play day 2 of the Kawasim, but I don't even have that released yet. That's a Christmas release. How many followers do you have on Itch, by the way? I'm just curious. I mean, I guess I could look it up, but I don't know if it's a good idea to just put your Itch on stream. I mean, it probably is fine, but all right, 1 second. I'm going to turn that off for just a moment while I pull up my Steam and launch Factorio. Is that audio not coming through? I have like 6 to 7. Okay. I mean, I think I have less than you on Vandiyahu. I don't know how many followers I have in my personal. 14. Congratulations. Let's look. Oh, did I close it? Really? All right. I'm going to turn off the display capture again, just in case it displays login information for itch. I can't remember. How the hell do you even look? Dashboard. 8. Less than you. Congratulations. Granted, I don't put any games up on Vandiyahu, so it's kind of hard to get followers if Hitch isn't showing, you know, an algorithm or anything. But it's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. That's the raw power of being a simp. Yeah, I guess so. All right. Factorio. Factorio is a game. Factorio is a brilliant game. Factorio is one of my favorite games ever. But I got to break down Factorio just a little bit, just to kind of give you an idea. So, for some background. Obviously, the upcoming Game Jam is a game with no text. Now, Factorio is an intensely deep game. I mean, it's like an overwhelmingly complex and deep game, where the community is famous for saying that the worst thing, the worst enemy you have in Factorio is you from 2 hours ago, because the game is so unbelievably complex that you can bottleneck yourself at any given moment, right? And you don't even know you're doing it. You're just working. But why does that work? Well, because I think that the underlying structure of this game is so strong that, and because it is such a good game, that you're willing to forgive basically everything about it because it's so weird and so complex. Because if you screw something up, it's not a game over situation. It's kind of like what Tynan Sylvester was talking about with elastic failure, right? Where when you fail something in Factorio, it's not really a failure so much as it's a, oh shit, I got to go back and I got to fix all this. Kind of like Minecraft in a way. But in some cases, I would say that Factorio might be a little bit more damaging if you fuck up. Because you have all these production lines and all of these things that are taking place, right? Now, Factorio has a narrative. It's not a completely cohesive narrative in terms of like a narrative arc, but there is somewhat of a narrative arc. So the point of the game, you play as this little guy, and he's always looking around. Some people posit that he is an android or some kind of robot. I've never thought of him that way. I've always thought that this was a skin tone and he's wearing goggles. I've always thought of him as a guy. And what happens in Factorio is you crash land. Sorry, I'm late to class. I had to shit on a bunch of nerds with Ramus. It's all good. One of the things about oh shit, what was I saying? Oh, okay. So the idea behind Factorio is you play as this guy. He's an engineer. He's a very talented, very incredible engineer. So incredible that he can literally make microcircuits from shit in his pockets. But you've crash landed on an alien planet. And I have the aliens turned off in this one right now because sometimes I just like to chill out and build. Because the game itself is already complex enough, let alone all these monsters that are coming to kill you at all times. So, I mean, I have a couple of games where I do have the monsters turned on, but this one I don't because I just kind of wanted to display it. But, okay, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit because there is some text in this game. However, I would say that the text doesn't really convey anything in terms of narrative, right? So, for example, there's text in the form of tutorial, because and once again, this is a full-fledged game that's been out for like 10 years or however long this game's been out. I can't remember. Maybe 7 years. It's insignificant. Yeah, it's insignificant when it comes to the narrative. I expect that people are not going to be making a game that is even 20% as complex as this, nor even remotely as long. Not even a 15th as long as Factorio. And so I imagine that the no text restriction on your particular games is going to be a lot, not easier to do, but I think it's a more straightforward process of like why I can't use text in this 5-minute game, right? Versus this game, which I beaten one time without the monsters on, and it took me 100 hours. And now I'm going through it again with the monsters on, and then I got bored and scared because the monsters are scary, so I stopped, and then I started another one where the monsters aren't there, so that I can kind of practice on my builds. But I think one of the things that's so amazing about this game is that Vampire is free on Epic. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll grab that. That's one of those games that's one of those games, one of those games that you're like, man, I would play it, but it's like, it's $10. Oh. Here's the thing that's really crazy about Factorio, though. I don't even know where to begin to explain this. I don't even know. It's a Souls-like with a good story, from what I understand. Cool. Yeah, I'll play it. I'll grab that for sure. I don't even know how to begin to explain. Let me just try. Okay, so you crash land on an alien planet. Your goal is to get off the planet. Maybe? Yeah, your goal is basically to get off the planet. Your goal is to make a rocket. The rocket launches into space, and then you can end the game there by effectively getting in the rocket and leaving with it, or you can stay and continue to make your base ever more powerful, right? There's a kind of a random seeding effect in this world. So each time you play a new version of every time you play a new Factorio, you're playing a new world, essentially. And the idea behind it is all about management. It's all about managing things in the short term and in the long term, doing long-term goals and short-term goals simultaneously. And it's really hard to do because your short-term goals often require more resources than your long-term goals will allow you to have, right? So you have to take, a lot of the times you end up having to take shortcuts in order to make the thing that you want to make in the moment, so that you can set yourself up for future. However, by setting yourself up for the future, you're also fucking yourself over in the future. So it's like this weird catch-22 in this game where everything you do is making a problem for you somewhere else. You just don't know it yet. And this is one of the reasons why I think this is such a strong game narratively, because this is one of the things that games can do, and I've said this a cajillion times, but this is one of the things that games can do that no other medium can do, and that's that they can offload the narrative climb, the classical structure of the narrative climb, where the character gets a little bit closer to their goal, but then something gets in their way. They get a little bit closer to the goal, but then something gets in their way. They get a little bit closer, but something gets in their way, right? And then they can reach a climax. And I think that the thing that's so brilliant about Factorio is that it is completely designed with this in mind, without having any intention to be a good narrative. It just is a good narrative because it understands that you need to give players meaningful decisions to make if they're going to be the protagonist, and you need to give them meaningful pitfalls to those decisions, just like what would happen to any given protagonist, right? It doesn't make for a very good story, for example, if your protagonist just goes along making decisions and then none of them ever come back to haunt them, or none of them ever come back to play a part in what they did in the future of the narrative, right? So I don't know. I think that's one of the things that's just so brilliant about it. Oh, like Minecraft, like you said. Yeah, it's a lot like Minecraft. I like this game more than Minecraft personally, but I think I just like the aesthetic more. I kind of like the weird sci-fi, in the strange sense of humor, and like, I mean, I have a train network. You know what I mean? Like, I have a train network, and I have all these different. It's nighttime right now, so we can't really see anything. I can't even remember what I was doing. That's the thing. That these things, they just become such behemoths. These factories, they become these monstrous behemoths where you can't even remember why you did the things you did, because there's just so much going on. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to remember what I made first. It doesn't help that I've had to ultimately like break down a bunch of things so that I can make room for other things. But like, what did I make? This certainly had to be made early, because this is like a copper pit, right? And in the copper pit, it's normally not a very good idea to put, well, I'd say it's every time not a good idea to put your production right next to your collection. It's almost never a good idea, because actually it's never a good idea, because when you put your production close to your, or when you put your production, meaning the production of copper wire, next to your mining operation, you're really choking yourself in space. And Factorio, space is everything. Space is absolutely everything, because the more space you can utilize, the more organized you can be, and the more efficient you can be. If you give yourself a lot of space, you can really dial in how you're going to maneuver and distribute your material, right? So right now, this is the most inefficient use of these things ever. In fact, I'm like kind of sick looking at it, because these things can't even mine. They can't even mine, because there's no space left on this belt for them to send their copper to, right? So these are mining, but that's it. And then what do I do? Because these are about to run out of copper. This only has 291 copper left that it still can mine. 7.9 thousand. Oh, you guys can't even see that. One sec. Let me move this down. Now can you see it? Yeah. 7.9K, 952, right? And then we follow the copper line down to my refinement area of copper. Now, to refine copper, you need coal and you need copper ore. So these little guys, they refine copper for me, right? They're little furnaces. And these are inefficient too, because these require they're just not nearly as efficient as these ones down here. These are bigger, and they refine my steel, because steel on the whole is more valuable, or you need a lot more steel than you need copper, as is tradition in these types of games. But yeah, so I must have started somewhere around in here. Clearly stone is just, I mean, my stone doesn't even know what it's doing. It's just a closed loop that doesn't do anything. I'm just making train tracks. I don't even know how many train tracks I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 900 train tracks. Oh shit. /ban. Oh, it's so hard to type. Hello, Toaster Shooter 389E. OKU 2K5. Banned. Welcome, Toaster Shooter. You're just in time to see Factorio. This could be a game for you. You might like this game a lot, actually. Given your mathematical nature. Off with ye, foul demon. Indeed. Have you played Factorio, Toaster? I feel like it's right up your alley. It's very math focused, and I'm not a math guy, and I can still play this game, so that's nice. I mean, obviously, I'm not a math guy. Everybody knew that. People who haven't met me knew that. So, kind of the goal of the game is you've crash landed on a planet, and you need to launch a rocket. And you need to go through the entire process from mining all the ore to... so you mine all the ore, and then you smelt all the ore, you refine it, and then you use the refined material in production buildings that make materials for other production buildings, right? So you follow my logic? So we have iron ore, or we have copper ore here, right? These things are mining copper ore. They bring it down to the furnaces. The furnaces make it into copper plates. The copper plates come over onto this belt, and they join this belt. This belt leads them up into this area. This is a copper wire production facility. I need the copper wire production facility because I need to use copper wire in order to make circuits, right? And to make circuits, I need I need steel plates, and I need, hey Pupsy, and I need copper wire. Why do I need circuits? Well, let me show you. If we follow this belt down, then we come over here, and we see that we use circuits and steel and gears to make robotic arms. These robotic arms move material from inside buildings to outside buildings and from outside buildings to inside buildings. As you can see, we have, some arms here. These little blue and yellow guys, they pick up materials and they move them from one place to another. So you're thinking, I know you're thinking this, where do the gears come from? Well, I'll show you. Right here, for one, but they're taking off of my iron line here, right? But if we follow this gear line, I think my dog is doing something naughty. Oh, he's trying to eat fruit. Gears. Plates make gears. Gears go into here. These gears, two lengths. Oh, it's Factorio, the game for massive brains. Not true. My brain is very small, and I love this game. It always takes me forever to do whatever I'm doing, but I love it. See, here's the thing. I think that this game can be really good for two types of people. One, the people who really like to look at the stats. They like to look at the production values. They like to look at these matrices and calculate, look, I'm building, I don't know what these mean. I'm producing, can I just look at one? Can we focus in on one? There we go. I'm producing presumably between 400 and 600 iron plates per minute. And so, yeah. Me, a JRPG lover and a Minecraft lover, despite having a computer physically unable to run Minecraft. Wow, really? Can't phones run that now? And so, you can really dig in to this, right? You can really dig into it. Oh, cool. We can slow it down. Okay. Every 10 minutes. You can really dig into the stats, and you can see just how efficient you are being in every single category of your factory. And then there's me, which is just like, who gives a shit? And I just start just jamming shit. I'm like, I don't do the math at all. I mean, look at this. This is the least efficient thing in the world. I have so many lines clogged. So many. Because you can look, right? Like, it should tell you. I swear it told you. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. So it's a 5-side to make. Oh, let's cover something else real quick. So another key aspect of Factorio is the research tree. The research tree is incredibly huge. It's unbelievably gargantuan. So these are the things I have researched. These are the things that I have not researched, the red, and the yellow are the things that I am able to research. They all require a different kind of science. That's what I call it. I don't know if it's called something else, but I call it science. So, for example, I just finished researching yellow science. So I have red science, green science, and blue science. That's the recipe to making yellow, to research yellow science. So I have my red science factory up here. Red science needs copper plate and gears. You're gonna go eat. Okay. Copper plates and gears. Red science comes down and around, and it heads right on over to the science facility. In the science facility, these little domes are science buildings. They research things. That's their only function. They take sciences of various colors and they distribute them to my matrix of science buildings. So, for example, if I were to show you, let's zoom out a little bit. If I were to show you, let's research something new, something that requires red, green, and blue science. Worker robot speed. I haven't even built worker robots yet, but I'm going to start researching worker robot speed 2. You see the beautiful blue lights and the sounds of electricity as the factory gets to work researching worker robot speed 2. It's the most beautiful sound in the world. Although I'm being incredibly inefficient because I have way too many science buildings for the amount of blue science I'm producing, and I just cannot seem to produce enough blue science. It doesn't seem to matter what I do. My lines are choked with the ingredients for blue science. Are they? They need engines. Yeah, I'm starved for engines right now. Yeah, I started a little bit earlier today because of the whole Christmas thing. But yeah, so the blue science needs engines, and I'm choked on engines. And I swear we'll get to talking about why I think this is a good narrative game soon, but give me a moment. Blue science is some of the most demanding science in art. Absolutely. It's incredibly demanding. Mostly because it's just really hard to produce a lot of engines. And the reason why it's hard to produce a lot of engines is because I don't have enough space to do it. Because I choked myself into this teeny little corner. I am showing off my cool game. Thank you. We'll talk, but only when we finish this important gaming. Oh, we can talk. We can talk now. I need to make more blue science. So I think you guys are going to come with me on this journey while I figure out how to make more blue science. Okay. So the number one problem to producing blue science is space. Which means I need to get more space. Now, where do I get more space? I could either get more space here, building this direction, or I could build here along this line. Journey. Or I could bring a new line of engine production down here. But I think that this might be a bad idea, because I might end up using that for more electricity. Once again, space. Space is the most valuable resource you have in RimWorld, in Factorio. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to have to build them here. So, actually, before I start laying down stuff, let's Let's get the more important things built. I need just so many gears in order to build buildings. So these are automated assembling buildings. They just make things for me. That's all they do. And this is kind of the brilliance of Factorio, I think, is it's the key is the automation. Everything about this game is centered around automation. And there's this really amazing thing about how the automation works, because the more buildings you make, the more pollution you produce, right? So for example, we can look at that pollution stat actually. So pollution. I can't read this to save my life, but yeah, I mean, this is totally like, I have no idea what it's saying. But it's a metric for pollution. So the thing that's interesting about pollution, and this is why I think this is kind of an interesting example for a narrative game, or a textless narrative game, is that the core central focus of the game is to build a rocket, right? In order to build a rocket, you need to build a factory. The more factory you build, the more pollution you produce. So like if we come down here, you can see that my steam engines are producing tons of energy, or producing a ton of pollution, while also making me a ton of energy. Now I could go with the solar panel thing, but they only work during the daytime. And during the daytime, it's, that's fine. But I don't really, my factory is not advanced enough in order for me to build accumulators so that I can recharge my base, right? So that I can store the energy made during the day to continue to power my base at night. Robots are, I'll have to stream Machinarium. Machinarium is great. I really like that game. I remember playing that game years ago, and it's super cool. But here's the thing that's interesting. Now let's go for a little ride. Sorry, I keep getting distracted because I'm just so fascinated by the idea of a behemoth of your own design that you completely forget how it works, right? It's almost like the Ozymandias thing, where like Ozymandias comes to you come to the obelisk, and it's from a dead civilization that you don't even remember, right? That nobody remembers. These dead kings. And in Factorio, you have that as well, but these dead kings are of your own design. Because if you had to tell me, like, how does your factory work, if you were to ask me that, I don't think I could answer the question because it's too complex now.
True, you asshole. True.
That's my wife talking to my dog. All right, so let's go for a little train ride. Hey, drive, you bastard train. Shit. Oops. Drive, you bastard train. Drive. Okay, I'm going to turn it into manual mode so that I can drive it. Because we got to go on a little journey. So I'm going to drive my train. Move, train, move. So we're going to drive my train. I built all these tracks, by the way. You should be proud of me. With my bare fingers on the keyboard. Ozymandias was a pretty good episode, but Rian Johnson still sucks. Obviously, I know you're referring to the Shelley poem. Yes, indeed I am. But the joke that you made is still a good one. All right. The reason why we came up here is two reasons. One, look how much copper I have to produce. Or I have to mine up here. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'm producing so much copper. And I have to use these crazy little machines in order to do it. Second reason. Let's take a gander. They're not going to attack me because I have them on peaceful mode. These are the bugs. These are the indigenous life. Isn't there a better word for that? Not indigenous. They're kind of weirdly cute in a way. You know, like they're scary, but they're not the scariest thing. You know what I mean? They're just like these alien life forms that live on this planet. Now, obviously, if I were playing and they were turned on like normal, they would be sprinting at me trying to kill me, and that's a whole different story. And they try to murder you constantly. They're morbidly fascinating. Yes, I agree. But they have like, these big eyes. They don't have 6 eyes. They don't have like. I think that this is a very interesting design choice on their part. They're not conventionally attractive, right? Yeah, but like if I see a bug in a book, or like if I see like a spider on on a monitor, I'm like, bah, you know what I mean? But these, for whatever reason, they're just not that. They're not that unnerving. Now when there's 1,000 of him running at you, yeah, it's a little unnerving. Just go to Home Depot or Menards and buy some copper. You can get grounding rods for $5. Welcome, Chris Saffron. I missed you. All right, so let's head back to the base. Now, why did I bring up this whole thing about the bugs, and why did we come up here? Because I think there's something very interesting to be said about the implicit narrative taking place in Factorio.
No.
So, the gameplay is make a factory so that you can build a rocket, right? In making the factory, to build the rocket, you produce shitloads of... My dog is apparently just misbehaving constantly. And I want to turn this train back on automatic so that it will go about its duties without my input. Kind of like insects in real life, huh? Ah, so you're talking subtext. Interesting. Yeah. Hey, buddy, I posted a message explaining my absence lately in Discord. I mean, it's fine. Life goes. I'm not desperately sad, but I hope you're doing well. But you don't have to worry about making sure that it's okay. I'm just happy you're here. That's all. Anyway, so the thing that I'm trying to get, the point I'm trying to get across here, and the thing that I find very interesting in the subtext, as Toaster Shooter mentioned, is that by producing shitloads of pollution, you actually increase the mutation effect of the monsters. I think they're called biters in this game. You increase the mutation rate of the biters. I think there's actually a way to even look at that. There might be some statistic that shows the mutation. Fluids, buildings, pollution. Well, I can't find it because I've never really looked, but the life finds a way, my man. The most you can do is keep up. Absolutely. But so there's this interesting catch-22, and this game is just full of catch-22s. And catch-22, by the way, is a famous novel that coined the term catch-22. So there's a bunch of catch-22s in this game where you need to keep your builds simple so that you can make things, but then that screws you over in the long run. But if you don't do it, then it's going to take you too long and you will die because the biters will come and they'll kill you. Right? The more you produce, the more pollution you produce, and the worse the bugs become, and it becomes more and more dangerous for the bugs, or the more and more dangerous it becomes for you because the bugs mutate and they become much stronger and more aggressive. Like there are times in which, I mean, we can head over to another save real quick. As you can see, I've named things like, dude, how do I make purple? So yeah, let's go with bad guys. So this is a little base I have going on, and with the bugs turned on, right? And apparently I'm just making electric poles. Gameplay loops inform an implicit narrative through subtext. Exactly. And none of it has any text. Let's see. You can't know what a catch-22 is unless you read the novel, but you wouldn't know about the novel if people didn't know exactly. It's a great example of a catch-22. So this is a bunch of dead bugs. They charge my base. Now, in this one, I am a full-on military maniac. I mean, like, I have walls that surround my base completely, and there are turrets placed in all of them. Because it's the only way I can survive. Not only do I have one gate, I have 4. So that, you know, in case one breaks and I still need to get out, it's not the end of the world. And these can become unbelievably, like, these arms races become unbelievable. I mean, you can get to the point where, I mean, I've seen some builds that are hilarious where, like, I mean, these are like, you know, post rocket launch builds where they're just turning it. I think they call them like war planets or something, where they have these gigantic bases, and they have these like mortars that, you know, fire at the incoming bugs. I'm hoping to hang around just so you can see a bug attack. Intense indeed. So I'm gonna hang around for a second, but there's kind of like this sad and somewhat entrancing, you know, global warming narrative in this game, where, I mean, it's an environmental narrative. Ultimately, that's what that's the story of this game, right? You can try to build your factory using only solar panels, so only solar electricity, but it's only so good because it doesn't work at night. As you can see, it's nighttime right now. And I mean, you can try to go completely green, and then that will keep the bugs away from your base, but it's going to take you so much longer to beat the game, and the bugs will always come for you. They will always come for you, no matter what. They might mutate less, but they will always come for you. And this is something I think that, like, Riftbreaker, for example, just doesn't quite capture. It doesn't quite have the meaning, and it doesn't quite have the impact that I think Factorio has. Because Riftbreaker is very similar. In Riftbreaker and the other one, Dyson Sphere Program, you go down to a planet, you start cutting down trees, you start mining shit out of, you know, minefields, and you start building stuff, and you make automation, right? You automate as many things as you possibly can in order to achieve larger goals. Now, I think Dyson Sphere Program can become a quite beautiful game later on. I never got that far because I just didn't really like the way it controlled. Nor did I like its aesthetic as much. I really love this kind of like weird 2D pixel arty type thing. I think it's just beautiful. But yeah, there's something to be said about just that this game just has like a narrative that it wants to tell, and it's very simple. It's very simple. I mean, think about the message of this narrative. Factories are bad, right? But it's also in a lot of ways about a lot more than that, because this game does not allow you to take any I mean, you can take shortcuts, but the shortcuts will bite you in the ass. They just will. You know, there's no definitive shortcut that allows you to break certain things in this game. And so all of the triumphs in this game are your triumphs, right? They're not the triumphs of the character, they're the triumphs of the player. There's no perfect zero-waste solution. That's a narrative that was also in the environmental conservation class I took in the university. Yeah, right. Damn it, biters. Attack me already. Where's my car? Oh, there's my car. Let's go round up some biters and lead them back to the base, so that you can see what this looks like. And it's terribly sad. This is my car. I made a car. Oh shit. Oh my god, I almost destroyed a box full of electricity. Oh, these biters just came. We missed them. You see their blood? So there's a biter base over here. We're gonna go take a gander. We're gonna go look at it. See how it looks. See if we. Oh, they're chasing me. They're chasing me. Let's kind of lead him. Let's kind of lead him to the guns. Shoot him. You see what I mean? Like it's very simple, but it's just very blunt. It's just a very blunt thing. There's no win button in the game design nor in the narrative. Both solid game design and solid narrative design. Totally, right? Because yeah, there is no shortcut. You can't. There's not really any way to get to launching a rocket quicker that the developers forgot about, right? There are ways to do it faster, but they're going to create a problem, and it's a problem that you have to be prepared for. But they also tie that directly to the themes of the narrative, right? They directly tie all of that stuff to the central focus of what this game is trying to do. So let's go back to new game. And let's get back to our blue science problem. My wife dropped something. Okay. Let's get back to her. Does anybody remember Ratchet and Clank? Yeah? I played the one on, not the PlayStation 5 one, but the most recent PlayStation 4 one the other day on PlayStation 5. Did I want them here or did I want them here? By the way, to see somebody who's really, really great at breaking down this game in a way that's entertaining and fun, go watch Day 9. Does anybody know Day 9 TV? Day 9 is like, he's pretty famous like StarCraft commentator, Magic the Gathering commentator, and plays other games too. But he played this game for like a series of like 8 videos or something, and they're great. He's so funny because he's really good at narrating the way in which he's going about doing things, probably better than I am. Actually, I know he's better than I am because he's like literally a professional commentator. I've considered that myself. It's great for exposing a system. Oh, in reference to the no win button comment from earlier. I've been thinking a lot about how gameplay loops can make for a really cool narrative content when used well. And this is genuinely the most interesting example I've seen. Well, see, this is the thing, is that in a way, I think that gameplay loops are almost the game way of writing a scene. Does that make sense? Like that's kind of what a scene is in a game, is a gameplay loop. You've gone through the loop of gameplay, right? And it just so happens that a lot of gameplay loops, when you've completed a loop, you're going into a new room or you're going into a new area. Like I've been playing the new Halo, for example, the new Halo Infinite game, because I have Game Pass, because I wanted to try it for the $1, whatever. And by the way, Game Pass is like awesome. I'm not advertising. I'm just like, wow, it's like really cool. Anyway, so I've been playing the new Halo game, and their gameplay loop is a refined masterpiece where you step into a room, you quickly identify the obstacles that you need to overcome, and then the developers have set up precise things that are going to kind of trick you into thinking that you can overcome them in one way when you need to do something else, right? Or they give you a little bit of a hint. Like you walk into a room in a Halo Infinite game and they have like a wall next to you, and the wall has the exact gun that you're going to, like a highly recommended gun for this particular room, right? So you go in, you grab the gun, and you're using it, and then you think that you're going to solve it in one particular way, but you actually need to solve it in another way because they throw in these little hooks, these little things that make you think like, oh, I did it incorrectly. You know, I need to go back. Now, I wish that game had a little bit more elastic failure. As a matter of fact, I think Halo Infinite has the worst example of elastic failure. It's the most concrete failure of any game I've played in recent memory. Maybe because I've been playing a lot of these types of games and Magic. but it's just concrete failure where like you run in, you didn't do it right, you die, you respawn, you're at the door again, you go in again, right? And they don't build it into the narrative like Dark Souls does, like From Software games do. 1 second, I'm going to do a little smoke while I think about what I'm going to say next. All right. So the I wanted to read Two Links' thing. While you have Game Pass, I'm just going to mention Creature in the Well. That game could be interesting, and also a game with robots in it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll look at it. Gameplay loops are a powerful thing. I think gameplay loops are kind of what we're talking about. It's kind of like it's kind of the epiphany here, where the gameplay loop is the scene writing. Because imagine that if every time you were saying, okay, here we go into a gameplay loop, you're setting up a narrative moment. You'll post it in the Discord? Okay, cool. If you're setting up a moment, if you're setting up a narrative moment, every gameplay loop, you are telling an amazing story, because that means you're tying the gameplay innately to the narrative, because that means your narrative is your gameplay, right? And that's what games can do. Shadow to Colossus. Well, I mean, okay, so that's another good example. I'm now forgetting the man who's the lead designer on the Shadow of the Colossus game, as well as the other two, Ico and the one I'm playing with the giant bird dog. But that gameplay loop is great. That gameplay loop is all about friendship, all of it. Every single thing you do in that game, every 30 seconds is a new development in the friendship between the protagonist and the monster. Every single 30-second iteration of that game. Now, 30 seconds is a little disingenuous. It's not always going to be a 30-second loop of gameplay, but basically every loop of the gameplay, every puzzle is centered around friendship. Fumito Ueda, that's right. But do you see what I mean? Like, do you see how because that's another great example of a game that has almost no text. I mean, other than like the narrator, it has basically no text, but the blossoming relationship between the little kid and the giant monster is beautiful. It is like an actually beautiful thing to watch. And it's all done with basically no text. And it is gorgeous. I mean, I love it. I love that game. And yeah. Anyway, there was an old text-based adventure, the 2-word noun-verb type, where you encounter a dragon. It's blocking your path. You say, kill the dragon, and the computer says, with what? Your hands? And you say yes and kill it by punching it. Telascardium. Yeah, the Last Guardian. Wait. Oh, yeah, the Last Guardian. Yeah, that's the name of that game. Thank you for reminding me of what that game was called. I'm like, it's so beautiful. I just can't remember the name. But I genuinely think that game is just gorgeous. Like, if I could stream that game, I would. I'm not going to pay for a capture card. But yeah, so this is the kind of thing I think that a lot of you should be thinking about as we come up on December 26th is, how can I tie my gameplay loop to my narrative? And that's why I wanted to play Factorio today, because Factorio is just a wonderful example of it, right? Like, I need to come up with a new way to make blue science, and it's going to bite me in the ass in the future, because everything does. Everything in this game, like the core central theme of this game is everything you do will bite you in the ass later, right? The decisions you make will come back to haunt you, which is kind of an interesting thing to center a narrative with, that is ultimately, like, its grand theme is like climate affectation. There are $20 capture cards at Walmart. You see, I live in Germany. There's no Walmarts here. If you're willing to try one of those, my brother got one, but he hasn't tried it yet. That game was hilariously meta for being so primitive. I really want to play Pinkney's old text adventure games, because he knew all about all that shit when he was writing those. He knew all about the things that we're talking about. Maybe not necessarily 30-second gameplay loops, but he definitely knew about, scene structure and that kind of thing. Well, this honestly cements what I'm going to do for the jam then. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but it'll be fun. Cool. I'm excited. And remember, look, your game does not need to be 10 minutes long. If you can get one 30-second loop down and you fail the anagnoresis, no big deal, right? Just turn something in. Because if you're actually making a game with no text that has a 30-second game loop that makes the narrative, guess what? Just do it 1,000 more times or whatever, and you've made a game that you can sell. So, it's okay. No Volvarten in Germany. Absolutely no Walmarts. I think there was one Walmart and they closed it because the Germans were like, we don't want that here. Oh, wow. Well, Germany must be utopic then. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's quite, I have to admit, it is quite nice to go outside and there's no Walmart. There's no Walmart. There's no fast food. I mean, there's a couple places, like there's a McDonald's like in the next town over, and there's a KFC in the mall, but it's nothing like America. It's not like when you've got to a new town by the giant like fast food signs that are over, like looking over the highway. That's not how it is here. They don't exist. He's an experienced writer. I got started creating that stuff on the C64 back when I was a kid. I wish I knew those were big. I wish I knew where those big 5.25-inch discs were. That'd be great. If you could figure out how to find that and record that, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. Germany sounds awesome. Like, aren't there a ton of butcheries and bakeries? Yeah. Yeah, there's a ton. They're still very much about that. Good use of the, for fuck's sake, Rinzai, I misspelled one word. Rinzai's in a mood tonight, apparently. He's really going after people for the grammar. Oh, I mean, you guys are fine. I'm not offended. I'm just talking about gameplay loops and having a great time. What was I going to say? Germany sounds awesome. Yes, right. Okay, so the butcheries and the bakeries. It's very interesting. That's actually one thing that I have found among the most interesting is that there's not really a point to going to, because like a lot of the grocery stores all have meat too, and they all have like bakeries too, and you can get baked goods from the grocery store, and they're fine. But you can also go to these really interesting, little kind of mom and pop type shops. Like my wife's mom's parents were butchers. They had a butcher or a Metzgerei, a butchery. I used ASCII characters to create the images on them. I mean, hey, that's what Dwarf Fortress did. They were pretty demented. I think one of them was a parody of Wheel of Fortune called Wheel of Foreclosure. How old were you when you were making this? And at one point, if you make the wrong choice, Pat Sajak cuts your hand off. Well, Jesus Christ. Pat Sajak. I've been told my last name is spelled wrong far too much for me to get worked up about spelling personally. I'm a patron of elder. Oh, we're still talking about Zanopt. Oh shit, Strudy, that's garbage. Oh my god, I didn't smell that on purpose. I sweat. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about right now. I'm just gonna go on playing Factorio. And I'm also going to I'm gonna make more engines. In order to make more engines, I need oh no, this isn't gonna work. See, this is why you never just extend the line. You always have to build the line first. Now I have a whole inventory full of pipes and gears. This is why you always build these first. You were like 9 when you made those. Yeah, 9. I can tell you this right now. If I was 9 and I knew anything about computer development or game development, I can tell you right now, I would I would not be making it about Pat Sajak. That didn't really exist to me. But you're a little bit older than me, so you have like different points of reference for television, right? I also wasn't really allowed to watch TV when I was a kid, but that's a different story. Um, the question of the moment is getting these two production materials down here so that I can make more engines, so that I can put the engines on the belt, so I can make blue science. It's so beautiful to watch these things move, right? It's like mesmerizing. Also, has anybody ever watched Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan? I've been watching that YouTube channel recently, and I've been like just fascinated by it. Wow. This is the first time where I actually have not been able to keep up with chat. Y'all have been so chatty tonight. I love it. I'm trying to understand the pun. Okay, I just understood it. The genetic makeup. It's Andrew Callaghan has a great channel. It's called Channel 5. His millions of views, which is unbelievable. I didn't even, because I've never even heard of him. But it's just wonderful stuff. Keep in mind there was no internet then, just a smattering of BBS systems. Yeah, I know what those are. Right, guys? I know what BBS systems are. Okay, so now we have kind of our words for input and throughput and output. But we need, oh no, I need so much more steel. I animated some weird shot as a kid, no games though. Well, all I did as a kid was write stories. That was all I did. Beer Garden Bratwurst Systems. That's the name of my company. I think I need 5 of these. See, these are long arms. Long arms grab from the long. Short arms grab from the short. I need both short and long arms. I want fast arms, because fast arms are faster than slow arms. And I think fast arms are better for this particular task. And also just always better. Now we need to connect it to the power grid, because you have a power grid that you need to manually build for everything in the game. So let's start the power grid here, and then 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 here. So now we got everything on the electrical grid. And now we've doubled our engine production. Something to Google later. BBS? Probably BBS, right? That's what you're Googling later. Bulletin board system. Pre-internet, people would log in over the phone with their modem, and there were forums, text-based games, etc. Man, what an interesting time. And a lot of people don't even, I bet a lot of people who just read that didn't know that the original way that you interacted with Twitter was that you texted a number, and then it would go to the website, and then it would post it on your Twitter. That was how Twitter worked originally, which is also why they had the original 120 character limit, because that was how many characters you could send in a text back in those days. You have an app, you know, There was no smartphone. So you would just pull out your phone and you would text, you would write out a tweet, and then you would send the message, and then it would go up on the website. Actually, that's not how Twitter worked. Twitter didn't exist. What the fuck? What are we talking about? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Is this like a Mandela effect? I remember dial-up. I remember dial-up. I had dial-up. Dial-up was a fascinating experience. It was like a ritual. I love dial-up. Thinking about it now, I love the idea. Like this weird ritual where you sit down and the internet comes alive on your machine. It's just like, it's so interesting. As was Prodigy, CompuServe. Oh, AOL was an example of a really huge BBS that had a lot of stuff. Oh, interesting. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. That was why tweets were so short, yeah. I don't even know what era of computer we're even talking about at this point. We'll see. There's two conversations of computers going on. There's Chris Saffron, who's talking about computer systems that I'm not particularly familiar with because they were just like, they were when I was a kid, you know, like I logged into AOL. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. I remember launching dial-up and going, what the fuck is going on? I'm connecting to the, you know, to the Matrix, even though that movie hadn't come out yet. But then there's the internet I'm talking about, which is that you send text to a number and then it posts to the Twitter website. I really wish I could have seen internet pre-2000s. Like I remember the sound of dial-up, but didn't get access to the internet until like 2005. Oh, very interesting. Pre-Matrix, yeah. Okay, so now we're cooking with engines. And the great thing is, well, the kind of great thing is that we have more space to do it. So I could build another line over here, and I think I'm actually going to do that, and then we'll probably close out the stream, to be honest. Because I'm a little tired. And German Christmas is tomorrow. They do Christmas a little differently here. They do Christmas on the on the 24th. Toaster. The 80s were BBS only. The 90s were when AOL. Yeah, and see, that was like my introduction to it. Yeah. Okay, the Twitter website part was what threw me off since, well, I was under the impression that Twitter was distinctly a modern creation. No. That was a different timeline. A cursed multiverse theory. Always. So, Toaster, how do you feel about this game as a math person? Do you think that you would dig into this game and really play it for the math? Because I know some people do. Some people really like the math. They like to try and make things as efficient as possible. Lol, damn multiverse. This makes me want to play SimCity 2000. I think Twitter is older than Facebook. Maybe. Twitter might be older than Facebook. No way, right? But Twitter used to have a different function. Twitter wasn't used for what it's used for today. I mean, obviously. Now Twitter is used to like influence elections and shit. But like back in the Facebook came first. Oh, we should look that up. I'm actually really curious about that now. I'm sure somebody's looking up, so I'm not going to. I would assume that Facebook came first, but Foursquare, yeah, I remember it, but it was gone like really fast, right? Facebook, yeah. MySpace was before Facebook. MySpace was definitely before Facebook. Facebook 2004, Twitter 2006. Okay, yeah. 2004. Wow. You had MySpace. I agree. I thought MySpace was better. I absolutely thought MySpace was better than Facebook. We've kind of lost the plot here. 30-second gameplay loops, narrative without text. Also, why is this not producing enough coal? I'm not getting nearly enough coal here. Probably because it's being so, like, being distributed too wide. Why am I just making like 1,000 grenades? I can't remember. I mean, look how many grenades there are. I use grenades to blow up trees, by the way. Because it takes forever to mine them, to cut them down. So I just throw grenades at them. That's actually another interesting thing. We can close on this, actually, because I really do got to go. But there's a really interesting thing. Just another little point. Another really a little interesting thing. So you can cut down trees. You need trees for quite a lot of things. Like you need trees in order to build power poles, for example. You need wood to build power poles. You also need it to... No, you don't. I thought you needed it to build train tracks, but I actually don't think that's true. So you needed to build power poles off the top of my mind. So it takes forever, and there's no way to automate it. There's no way to automate cutting down trees in this game at all. You either do it manually or you blow them up with grenades. So here's the thing, though. The more trees you destroy, the worse your pollution problem gets, because the trees actually do contribute to the, like, you know, the processing of to the processing of the CO2 that you're producing. It's amazing. And the game world actually does have like a select number of trees, and it knows based on how much production you have and the trees, right? And so that actually contributes, and it's all part of this huge ecosystem that's very, very, very interesting and delicate, right? And after a certain point, you're just like, fuck it, I cannot cut another tree down. I have to just start throwing grenades. I have to. Like, I'm going crazy. I can't cut more trees down. So you just start throwing grenades into the forest, and it blows all the trees up. But then you don't get the wood. You don't get to have any. It doesn't give you any wood. So once again, you fuck yourself over in the long run. Let's see. Let me read through some of this stuff. Social media evolves. I'm a horrible dad. It's almost 1 here, and I forgot to let my chickens and ducks out. Go let your chickens and ducks out. We're gonna end the stream now. What I remember reading was that Facebook was initially based off a little system that was used by... Yeah, right. The movie covers it pretty well, right? Let's see. Global warming in video games. Yeah, it's crazy. I think this is one of the more effective, I think, overtly political narratives in a game. There's a lot of games with pretty overtly political narrative, but this one I think does a good job because it just kind of buries it into the subtext, right? It buries it into the mechanics. The game doesn't end and then you go, and then all the things died because of the pollution, and it's your fucking fault. You just see it be your fault, right? But yeah, so we're gonna end the stream now, and I'm gonna save because I actually liked what I did there. And I'm going to probably play this later. But for now, I wanted to say to everyone, good luck. And if you're joining for the first time, go join the Narrative Game Jam. Just make anything. Make anything at all. As you can see, it starts right here. WJG, Narrative Game Jam. Vonda Yahoo. Number 3. Starts in 2 days and 3 hours. 2 days and 3 hours, everybody. Good luck. Yes, indeed, Toaster. Good luck on the jam, everybody. It's subtle and underhanded, and that's pretty neat. I agree. Yeah. So hopefully Factorio was, as Toaster Shooter said, good brain food. Because it's a game, like I said, it has effectively no text. No meaningful text for the narrative of the story, right? But it does tell the story through its gameplay. And that's what I'm hoping y'all will do. Now, how you're going to fucking put anagnoresis in that shit, I don't know. But I might have gone way too hard on this jam anyway. So I'm going to forgive everybody for everything. To social network. All right. We're ending it now. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you in the Discord in like 20 seconds.